Hello, how are you, .NET MAUI dev friend?
In this video, we are going to examine a control called CameraView, which is part of the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit package. This package, as you can see here, helps you perform tasks beyond just taking photos and videos. It allows you to control features such as flash, and as the description says, you can manage zoom, save files, and it even offers hooks to react to different events. All these features let us create experiences within an app without needing to navigate to an external application, giving you full control of the buttons, visual state, and destination of the captured files. Let's see how to implement it in a .NET MAUI application. Okay, I am already in Visual Studio and have created a project called My CameraView Demo, which you can see here. It doesn't have anything installed yet. What we will do is go to the NuGet Package Manager. And the first change I will make is updating Microsoft MAUI controls to the latest available version. And make sure it is the stable version. This is to avoid any kind of problem with the other packages we will install.
Once we have updated, let's go to the Browse tab and look for a package called MAUI Community Toolkit.Maui.Camera.
Okay, here it is. I'm going to install it. And in the same way, I'm going to install a second package called CommunityToolkit.Mvvm. The first package we installed is the one we need to use the control I showed you earlier, and this second MVVM package will let us implement the MVVM pattern more easily in the project. Also, here we see that a file named readme.txt opens, which basically gives us an instruction that we must add this method to the MAUI program.cs file. So this is the file I proceed to open, and after use MAUI app, I will paste this method provided by the documentation. And that's all you need to implement or install this set of controls, or this specific control, that will allow us to control the camera easily. With this, we can close these two tabs without any problem. The next step, once we have implemented or installed this control, is, as the documentation states, to initialize the specific platform on which we are going to use the control. And here we have the configuration for each of the platforms. For example, if you want to do this on Android, the documentation instructs us to go to the platform section. Then, in Android, we have the file called androidmanifest.xml. Let's go ahead and open it. And this opens a graphical interface that is quite intuitive. Here we see the list of permissions that we can enable. In this case, to use the control, we will enable the permission called camera. Here it is. And the second permission we need is for audio recording. This is the permission. This permission is useful if, in the case of Android, we want to record videos or video files. Let's save the changes to this file. The documentation includes the steps to do this in iOS. In the case of Windows, you do not need to do anything at all. And once we have installed the NuGet package and also configured the project or platform to use the specific features, we will create a ViewModel as part of the project to allow us to manage the properties of the graphical interface. We will call this ViewModel Main ViewModel and add it as part of the project. Here, I'm doing it as part of the project root, but you can manage this however you prefer. Let's copy and paste a snippet I've previously prepared that contains a set of properties which will allow us to work with these control properties from the graphical interface. For example, we have some very simple ones, such as a status message to show the user, or the name of the camera selected by the user. There are also properties to, for instance, display the path of the photo taken, or the last photo taken. Similarly, I have also included the last video that was taken. We also have additional properties, for example, to display whether something is currently being recorded or not, if the torch is on or not, what is the current camera zoom, the camera's minimum zoom, and a lot of extra features or properties that help us control different specific camera characteristics. I also want you to notice that we have here a method called update camera info. This method, as you can see, simply updates the information of the selected camera. If we select a camera different from the currently selected one, this method lets us update that information.
And this is executed, or this method runs, when unselected camera change is triggered here.
Once we have created this view model, the next step will be to create the application's graphical interface.
For that, we are going to use the mainpage.xaml file.
I'll remove the default scroll view and instead copy in a grid layout that I have already prepared. Before saving the changes, I'm also going to import a toolkit namespace so that we don't run into any issues. Now we can save the changes. As part of the changes in the graphical interface, you can notice that within the grid, one of the main grids, we have the use of Toolkit and CameraView, which is the control that is part of the toolkit that we will use. Here we assign some properties, such as the name. We also bind properties like camera flash mode, torch on, selected camera, and zoom factor, which belong to the control from the toolkit. These will allow us to manage these specific features for the camera we are using. The rest are default UI controls, such as a border or a label to display the camera name. We have a scroll view here, a vertical stock layout, and other containers and controls that will allow us to display each of the properties of the control we are using, namely the camera view, as part of the UI and some features, such as the photo that was taken and information for the user, so they know things like the paths of the latest photos and the last video as well.
Once we have the UI ready, let's go to the code behind the XAML file, in this case, mainpage.xaml.cs.
I'm going to clean up the file a bit, and I'll proceed to declare a couple of properties as part of this class. First, to keep a reference to the view model, and second, to maintain a stream in case we start a recording. Next, the following step is to bind, as part of the binding context, the reference to the view model. And we're also going to subscribe to an event that will let us know if there was an error when the camera was initialized. In this case, the event is called Media Capture Failed. And let's proceed to add a set of methods here that will allow us to perform different operations. For example, when the page appears, we are going to request camera permissions and also load all the devices available cameras. And when the page disappears, we will unsubscribe from the Media Capture Failed event, which is very important to avoid any dead or weak references lingering around. We also dispose of the recording stream so that no object residues are left. Also, as part of this code behind, we have request camera permissions, which allows us to ask the user for permissions so that they explicitly authorize the use of the camera, microphone, and other features as part of the application. Notice that here we perform validations, so that if the user grants permission to use the camera, for example, we assign the status message in the view model. And here we also request the microphone permissions. We also do a catch here in case the requested permissions are not granted. In the case of load cameras, what happens is we use a method called getAvailableCameras, which lets us obtain all available cameras. This returns a list of type camera info, just as we see in the description. With this, we can select one camera and also update the camera information. Finally, we have the onMediaCaptureFailed method, which is the event handler. And what this allows is to show the user the reason why a particular camera is failing to load or initialize. Everything we've implemented serves to carry out the camera initialization. But now, how do we take a photo, for example? Well, we are going to implement a method as part of this code behind called onTakePhotoClicked, which will allow us to use the camera instance again, which is the CameraView control. And we have a method available called CaptureImage, which is basically all we need to get a photo. Here, we are going to build a path to save the photo we're taking. We will create a file from the stream we are handling here, passing the path where we want to save the stream, and finally, we save the stream itself using the copy to async method. The implementation of this method is quite simple. We also have an implementation for saving videos. This is a bit more complex, but actually, once you understand it, it's not that complicated. In this case, what happens is that if we are currently recording, we stop the recording. But if not, a recording will be started. And in recording, what is done is to get once again this specific path where we want to save that recording. The creation of this file itself is performed, and the recording process is started using camera start video recording. Finally, we show the user information about the file that is being recorded. If we want to stop the recording, we use the stop video recording method, do a dispose of the recording stream, and once again, show or update the information to inform the user that the video was saved successfully. Let's test the application on a physical device. So I will select my physical device and start the execution. Once debugging has started, you can see that we are asked here for permissions to take pictures and to record video. They specify that we'll allow these permissions while using the app, and likewise, we are asked for permission to record audio. We will apply the same type of permission. Now, as part of the device, we can see that the camera is working well, and the control works very well. We can, for example, take a photo, and we notice that it works correctly because the photo taken with the mobile device now appears below the application, even if the camera up the top records or shows a different place. Another thing we can do is record a video. You can see how a video is being captured here. Let's stop the recording, and this would now be saved in the path shown at the very bottom. Here we have the path that was used to save this video. We also have some other features for example, viewing. For instance, we can zoom in if we need to, or turn on torch mode as well.
Okay.
We can see how the light is activated here and how easily we can use it. This is one of the simplest ways we can use a control that allows us to manage the camera as part of the application.
This control really makes our life much easier, and I am deeply grateful to the .NET MAUI community team for making this great component possible.
I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, leave a comment, like the video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.